Hello, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm James. I'm the creative manager at WEBVID, and with me today is Parastoo, one of our amazing in-house animators and artists. Hello, Parastoo.
Hello, James.
How are you? I feel like we haven't spoken in ages. It's literally been hours.
Yes, feels like an hour.
Are you adapting to this working from home lifestyle, Parastoo? Are you missing the studio?
I feel like this whole thing designed for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's designed around my lifestyle, this whole quarantine thingy.
Okay, being antisocial, being
Yeah,
quiet. Yeah,
yes.
sure. I mean, that works. As long as you're happy. That's what I care about. So, Parastoo, you and I have been working on a project for the last couple of weeks that I thought it might be quite interesting to share with people and talk about, as it's going to be going up on our website and out on our social media feeds over the coming days. So it's kind of a new company promo explaining what we do, and it's very cool. It's very funky. Not that anyone uses the word funky, but I've just done it there, so you're welcome. But I thought perhaps we could just talk a little bit about that process, what's involved in putting these kinds of animations together. I know this is your day in, day out at the company and around obviously sort of illustration work and things like that. So maybe for people that view the project, think it's quite interesting, would like to understand how something like that might work. I was wondering if you might be able to share how we produced it.
Yes, let's talk about the funky video. So when we decided to start making this video, we already had some idea about like what we want to be in it and what we don't want to be in it. I remember Neil in the beginning specifically said, don't make any character design, don't point to anything, anyone specific. So we already kind of knew what we should put in it and what we shouldn't. And we wanted to be very impactful, very colorful. And me and Amy White, our graphic manager, we looked at MTV openers, MTV award shows, and she wanted me to make a mixed media video, like combine as many as possible, different style of illustration, animation. And I was, in the beginning, I was a little bit worried about the time because I thought there is no way it would be finished. Because I remember it was like an Easter weekend because we started working on Tuesday and Neil was asking us, can you finish it on Friday? Like, oh God, no.
I mean, that's a good point to make, though. I mean, obviously you cited there some inspiration, some kind of like contact points, but it's also looking at that time scale of process, isn't it? Because quite often what we have to do in any project is work within the confines of a time frame, a delivery time frame. And even though this is our own work, it's important to have those sort of time frames and measures, because otherwise it can just go on for an indefinite amount of time and it never gets finished. And everybody's always like, oh, but you could do this. Oh, and you could do this. So it's, it's important to be focused and also incorporate, our clear brand identity and work with our brand guidelines for the video.
Yeah. In the beginning, it felt like we are about to do something extremely big in a very short amount of time. So I was a little bit worried whether it's possible or not. But Amy really fight for the time. I think she was keep telling me, don't worry, don't worry about the time getting away in your creativity process. So I just when we had the script that you wrote, I think it was easier to envision how the pacing is going to look like and what's going to be in the video. So I made a storyboard and you and Amy looked at it and you gave me feedback. I think we changed the colors a lot. I think I started in the middle of the week after the storyboard got approved, and I kind of made a plan to make 3 frames every day. So what I did, I choose a very complicated scene that takes a lot of time. I did it in the morning because I'm a morning person. I have more energy,
more energy, more creativity,
more brain power in the morning. So I put the easier scene in the afternoon. So I would just use all the creativity energy in the morning, and in the afternoon I would just put a podcast and do the easy scenes.
Yeah,
so that's how I approached it.
But that process is not, you know, you were almost describing there, like it's almost like Amy and I were your client,
Yes.
and you'd follow that same process. You know, we had to develop a script, so we knew what the narrative was. You could block out the scenes in a storyboard. We'd go through a process of reviewing that, talking it through. You can make some tweaks and some bits and pieces. Obviously, you've got your inspiration for design work, so you can kind of start to put all those pieces together so that everything's well pre-produced, so that when you start getting into that animation stage and that production stage, that you've got clear direction and you know what you're doing. And of course, there needs to be little tweaks and amendments as you go around, because things come up or don't quite work as you expected. But I mean, it's very similar. It's a very similar process. We don't treat our work internally any different.
Yeah, because even in the beginning, especially in the beginning part of it, I remember like we would come up with something and it wasn't quite right, so we have to go back and do it again. And it's very close to how we make project for our clients. Sometimes we come up with a concept and they're not necessarily what they want. They would say, oh, we like this aspect of it, and we have to come up with something new. So there was a lot of back and forth in the beginning. But once the storyboard was finished, I kind of knew what kind of video is going to be.
It's a very collaborative process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether it's us as a team or us working with clients, there's always collaboration, and that's really, really important to make a good project. It's turned out really well. I know we're really proud of it as a team. It looks really impactful. But how do you feel about it? Are you happy with it? What parts do you like the most?
I really like the frame by frame cell animation part. So the opening part, when the logo comes in, it's like a smoky, cloudy part that reveals the logo. And that part, I think I spent half of the day making that in this software called Rough Animator, which lots of motion graphic designer use. I see it's like a new trendy software. And initially I wanted to go back and add shadow frame by frame, and I realized, oh my God, this is going to be on a screen for maybe a second, and it takes so much time.
Yeah, I mean, frame by frame animation, you know, when you have to work on projects in that level of detail, it's nice in our own projects and even for clients when we get to put a little bit of it in there, but
yes,
it's consuming work, it's labor heavy work, and that's why often people try and avoid it in the end, isn't it? Because
like in big companies, I know that often a group of people working on those scenes, like one person would sketch it, one of them would do the clean outline, one of them would color, the other person would render and add like texture and shadow. And it was like, I thought, I'm going to make it as efficient and as simple as possible. But still, that scene is one of my favorite scenes, because although when I actually put it in the video, it's just 2 seconds, but I think it's a very good, impactful beginning of the video.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously in your time being here at WEBVID, we worked on lots of different interesting projects. I was just wondering, just before we finish up, is there any other projects in the time we've been kind of working together on animations and concepts that you really quite enjoyed? Is there any sort of, because I know obviously you do a lot of illustration work, in your own time outside of what we do as a company. I was just sort of curious to see if there was anything you'd like to give a mention to.
I really like that project we did for post office, because it was kind of different to our other project.
This is the Careless Clicks Cost Us campaign that
Yes.
we've been nominated for an award for.
Yes.
Yes,
That one.
which is great.
Yeah. I guess even if we don't win, that's something that we could always be proud of. But yeah, that project was very interesting because it was a combination of illustration, frame by frame animation, all the things that I really like. And yeah, and I think we had a more flexible time scale for that one. So we get to really make something that looked very nice. I think you were on that project as well. Like, you made a video part of it.
Yeah, it was a very collaborative, mixed media kind of project.
Yeah.
There was everything on that: video, animation, print, illustration.
Yeah, and Amy did the webcam thingy. So like you said, we all collaborated on that project. Yeah, it was a very exciting. The research process was very exciting to look at old art that we wanted to make it look like 1920s, I think, to look at the art style at that time. And yeah, that was one of my favorite projects we did. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, if people want to find out any more about that project that we did with Post Office, you can check out on the WEBVID blog. We've got a story on there explaining what that project was and about our nomination for an award, which we are immensely proud of as a team. Well, Parastoo, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been good to talk about the video, and we'd love to hear what people think about it. You can leave us some comments on our social media feeds, even a little thumbs up or a like. That'd be fantastic, but it'll be out and about very, very shortly. So I don't know about you, Parastoo, but I think I'm going to make a cup of tea now and get back to work.
I'm fasting, but yeah, you make that cup of tea. I have to go back to work.
Okay, well, you go back to work and I'll drink tea for us both. How's that sound?
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay, I'll speak to you later on, okay? Have a good day.
Okay, bye.
Thanks very much for joining us, everybody. Cheers, bye.